Hey everyone, good evening, good evening. Hope you are doing well. We're going to go ahead and get started with 7 at 7. How are you guys doing? Come on in the room. Hey Holly, Chandria, hey, how you guys doing? Hope everyone is well. Hey guys, come on in. Come on in. Hey Antoinette, Marcia, Bree. Hey, got IG going on and Facebook and YouTube. Hey Teresa, Moni. Hey, listen, we're going to have a good one today, guys. And I want you to do me a favor. I want you to share this. I'm not going to be long tonight. I promise you. Hey, Tina, how you doing? We're not going to be long. I'm glad this is the best part of your day. We're not going to be long tonight, but I do want to share some information with you that I pray helps you. Hey, Tasha, how you doing? Felicia, Ebony, hey, babe. Tamara, Kiona, hey, how you doing? Leslie, hey. St. Louis, where you coming from? Sean, what's up, man? So glad to see you guys on. So listen, I'm going to go ahead and jump on. And while you're coming on, I'm not trying to ignore your comments. I'm just trying to make sure that I can focus on what I'm going to say tonight. So we've been talking about obedience. And as we're dealing with the subject of obedience, there were a few things we discussed this week. And so I want to do a quick review first. Number one, walking in obedience is just not simply doing something. Most of us know obedience from the standpoint of what God has called us to do. So he called you to do something and you're working on doing it, which puts you in performance mode. However, that is only one level of obedience. When we see Saul, when God gave him instructions to go and to wipe out those who actually hurt the children of Israel prior, and he didn't do that. The Bible says that when he didn't obey God, that Samuel came to him and said that obedience was better than sacrifice. In other words, give God what God asked for. Don't give him what he didn't ask for. Give him what he asked for. And so sometimes when it comes down to obedience, we have the tendency just to focus on the performance side. What am I supposed to do? And our world is really caught up in this whirlwind, and we're such performers that we find ourselves constantly doing things for people. However, in the doing, it does not mean that you develop in becoming the person you're supposed to become. And so before you can ever really do what God has called you to do, and to do that successfully, you must first come to know who you are. And what I mean by that is when you look at the Gospels, after Jesus is baptized into the Jordan River, what do we see? We see God open up the heavens, the Spirit of God descends like a dove, and God says to Jesus, he says, "This is my son in whom I'm well pleased." Right? He identified him as son before he even started ministry. And so when you see that, you see identity. You see where God called David or anointed David to be king before he became king. You also see Jeremiah, where God speaks to Jeremiah and he tells him, "I have ordained and I have anointed you to be prophet to the nations." And so before you can ever do what God has called you to do, we have to first obey who he's called us to become. And many people don't work on themselves. And this is why the quarantine is really messing with a lot of people mentally, because we've been so used to performing that now you can't perform anymore. And now you have to deal with you. And now we are recognizing that there are certain things that we did not have together, that there were areas that we were covering that we can no longer cover up. There are things that we have to address that we can no longer ignore, because you don't have the ability to medicate it with activities. You can't cover it up with weddings and recitals and birthday parties and baby showers and other events and fundraisers and all that kind of stuff. You can't hide it behind choir rehearsal or a small group meeting. You can't hide it behind work for some of us, because now you're working home, you're around your family constantly. And so now you're having to do and to deal with you. So first, obedience is accepting who God says you are first. Then it goes into doing what God's called you to do. Many people do it backwards. This is why we end up struggling and we end up falling, because you get into it and then you find out that you've lost yourself, because you can lose yourself in the doing. You can lose yourself in, oh, I'm going to start a business, or I'm going to start writing a book, or I'm going to do something, and you get into it and you lose yourself 5 years down the line. And you're looking in the mirror and you're saying to yourself, I don't even know me anymore. But there's something else I wanted to talk about tonight, and that is this. I need you to put this in the comments. I need you to obey the pace. Obey the pace. What do you mean? I'm glad you asked the question. What is happening and what I'm seeing is that we've come to a place in our lives where we have to slow down. Some of us have come to a pause. And this new pace of life is causing many of us to struggle. And I came to tell you that you have to obey the pace that God has given you to live, so that you can fulfill what God has called you to fulfill. In 1 Corinthians chapter 9, I want to read this to you. It said, Paul writes to the church of Corinth, starting at verse 24. So if you want to put it in the comments, you can write 1 Corinthians 9, 24 through 26. Paul writes this: do you not know that in a race all the runners run, but only one gets the prize? Which means one, of course, if you're competing, the first place, the person who comes in first place wins the race. Run, but he says this: run in such a way as to get the prize. Everyone who competes in the games goes into strict training. They do it to get a crown that will not last, but we do it to get a crown that will last forever. Therefore, he says, I do not run like someone running aimlessly. I do not fight like a boxer beating the air. What he is saying in this is that yet all of us are running a race, and he's speaking about competition. But then he shifts slightly and he says, listen, that if you're going to run your race, run your race. Run it so that you can finish it. The whole point of the race is to finish it. It's not just to run it, but to finish it. So stop comparing yourself to other people who are running a race at a different pace. If you start running the race at a different pace, trying to compare yourself to others, it's going to affect you in a way that can be negative or catastrophic. I'm going to be a little transparent here, and I'm going to step out on a limb just to show you and to explain to you what I mean by pace. Okay, so this pandemic started. When this pandemic started, I wanted to make sure that as your pastor, I wanted to make sure that I stayed in contact with you. I wanted to make sure that I was in front, I was visible, I could see your comments. We could engage to a degree through technology, through Instagram, through Facebook, through YouTube. I wanted to do that. And so we came up with, hey, 7 at 7. It started off as 7 minutes. You guys asked for more. And then what it ended up turning into is 3 nights of Bible study. Okay? 3 nights of Bible study, which is really 4 different messages a week. Normally it takes about 40 hours for a preacher to really prepare one message. So I started doing 4 different messages in 1 week. So I started working harder to do this. So I was sitting here talking to my wife yesterday. I said, this isn't sustainable. I can do 7 minutes, but I can't continue to do 30 minutes 3 times a week. It's not that I don't want to. So please hear what I'm saying. What I'm recognizing is the pace is unsustainable. So I want to ask you a question. What did you do out of the good intentions out of your heart? See, I didn't know how long this pandemic was going to last. The reality is, even though the governor slightly lifted some things here in the state of South Carolina, we still can't meet again. We still can't gather. Our church is a large church. So, doing 3 to 4 services, we got to figure out how that's going to work. So here it is. This is going to take us a little longer than probably other churches to gather again the way we would normally gather. That's just the reality. But doing what I'm doing now is not sustainable for months. That's too much. So there will have to be adjustments. We'll let you know about those adjustments. But I'm only being a little transparent right now so you can identify what it really means to be sustainable. Because what you will do is you will find yourself doing things out of the good intentions out of your heart, and you burn yourself all the way out. And you ain't good for nobody at that point. So as Paul said, run your race to win the prize. Don't run the race just to say you were in the meet. Run the race so you could win. Get your prize. And what is the prize at the end of the day? Standing before God and him saying you did exactly what I've called you to do and you became who I called you to become. And so during this pandemic, I want you to not only become who God has called you to become, I not only want you to do what he's called you to do, I need you to obey the pace. If you need to slow down, slow down. If you need to speed up, speed up. If you need to take a nap, take a nap. If you need to take a walk, take a walk. I was talking to a member yesterday, and we were talking about working out and everything. And, mentally it's just so differently normally being in the gym. And they said to me, I'm not even working out for my body no more. I'm working out for my mind. And some of us, we're just getting out doing stuff. And even though, because what we're doing is we working out by eating bad. How many of y'all like working out by eating bad? I'm sorry, let me focus. But we eating bad but working out. But why we working out is really for our minds more than it is our bodies at this point. And so you have to obey the pace at which God has called you to run your race. You got me? So what's your pace? And don't be afraid to change. See, the thing is, some people may say, hey, Pastor, you're going to stop doing 7 at 7 Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Yeah, I'm going to have to make some adjustments with that. Some people may see that as a failure. I don't see it as a failure. At least I tried something. And I don't care what other people think when they aren't doing anything. So some people always have something to say about what you're doing, and they're not doing anything about their own assignment because they just watching you. So hey, make the adjustments. That's how you learn. If you're gonna master this season and win, I need you to put this in the comments. Make the adjustments. Make whatever adjustments to get at the pace you need to get at. When you're running, you have to change your breathing. When you're walking, sometimes you have to adjust certain things. Make the adjustment so you can run the race to win the prize. So it's not only about identity. It's not only about doing what God has called you to do. It's also about running at the pace that God has set you to run at. So don't worry about what everybody else is doing. Don't worry about the next company. Whatever you need to do, adjust so that you can run your race at the pace God has called you to run at. So listen, that's what I got for you guys tonight. I just wanted to give you something simple. As I said earlier, I just want to make a quick announcement. The governor has made some adjustments in the state of South Carolina where he's allowing some restaurants to reopen, but yet to dine outside and other things like that. We're going to continue to worship virtually. And we're going to do that as long as we need to. Now, please hear me. I miss you all. I want to be in the building just like y'all. I want to make sure. That I'm there with you all to see you all. However, we want to make sure that you're safe and that your family is safe. And so we're looking at different things, and as it unfolds, we will let you know. But I need you to make sure you take care of yourselves. Wash your hands. Make sure you're staying 6 feet away from people. If your immune system is compromised, make sure you're taking the necessary precautions to keep yourself safe. I love you guys. Hey, Jay, I want to make sure you guys are okay. I love you all. I miss you all. And I pray that you enjoy your weekend. We're going to have a great virtual worship experience this weekend. We got some changes that we made, and I believe it's really going to bless you. And look, I love you all. I'm not going to take questions tonight, guys. I would, but I'm not. And so we're going to keep it up. However, I want to make sure that we're in this for the long haul. So I love you guys. Listen, if you're not on IG, I'd love to connect with you on IG. Follow us on IG, the Brooks page or mine. I think it is the Brook Columbia or Simeon Mutri. Would love to connect with you there. And so listen, I'm going to let you guys go. I love you much, and I'll talk to you soon. All right, bye-bye.